It was just another rainy Tuesday afternoon when Emma, a kind-hearted waitress at a small-town diner, noticed a boy curled up on the edge of the booth near the window. Soaked from the storm, his clothes clung to his thin frame, and he held a worn-out notebook in his lap, like it was something precious. Most customers passed him by with barely a glance. But not Emma. There was something about his eyes, tired but alert. Hungry, but not just for food. She couldn't ignore him. Emma had worked at the diner for years, barely scraping by on tips and long shifts. She didn't have much herself, but when she saw someone struggling, especially a child, her heart always led the way. Without asking too many questions, she brought him a hot meal and a dry towel. His name was Noah. He looked no older than 12. When she asked where his parents were, he hesitated, then simply said he didn't know. He'd been on the streets for weeks, trying to stay out of trouble, holding on to the one thing he had left, his dream of finishing school. As the days passed, Noah kept coming back to the diner. Emma started tutoring him during her breaks. It wasn't anything fancy, just simple math, spelling, and reading. But the boy soaked it up like a sponge. He was smart, really smart. Emma began to wonder how a child this bright could be out on the streets. Still, she never pushed too hard. She figured he'd open up when he was ready. Word of her kindness started to spread around the town. Some praised her, others thought she was being naive. But Emma didn't care. To her, Noah wasn't just some homeless kid. He was someone worth believing in. What she didn't know, what no one in town could have guessed, was that Noah's story was far from ordinary. Behind his quiet eyes and tattered clothes hid a secret so big, it could change everything. A secret even Noah didn't fully understand himself. Because Noah wasn't just any lost boy. He was the missing son of one of the wealthiest families in the country. A boy whose face had once been on the news, whose disappearance had made headlines, whose family had never stopped looking. But none of that had come to light, yet. And as Emma continued to give without expecting anything in return, her simple act of kindness was about to pull her into a whirlwind of discovery, danger, and a truth that would turn both their lives upside down. Emma never expected her life to change just by offering a meal to a boy in need. But something about Noah tugged at her heart deeper than she could explain. He wasn't like other kids who passed through the diner. He was quiet but observant, shy but polite. He never asked for anything, yet always said thank you. There was a weight on his small shoulders, like he was carrying something far too heavy for someone his age. Over the next few weeks, Emma noticed little things. The way Noah instinctively flinched when someone raised their voice. How he always sat with his back to the wall, eyes scanning the room. And there was that notebook, filled with strange sketches, names he didn't recognize, and symbols that seemed oddly out of place for a kid with no formal schooling. Emma once asked about it, and Noah shrugged, saying it helped him remember things. He couldn't say why, but the drawings came to him in dreams. Familiar places he'd never been, people he couldn't name. At night, when the diner closed and the streets emptied, Emma often worried about him. She tried to find out if there were any shelters nearby that would take in an unaccompanied minor, but space was tight and the system slow. So she began leaving the back door of the diner open and made up a cot in the storage room. Noah never said thank you for that, but one night, Emma found a tiny hand-drawn picture of her tucked under the coffee machine. Just a sketch, but with a note that read, "You made me feel safe." Still, questions lingered. Who was Noah, really? Why did no one seem to be looking for him? Meanwhile, across the country, a different world stirred. Inside a towering glass building in New York City, the Reyes family empire buzzed with business as usual. But behind the scenes, grief still haunted the family. Years ago, their youngest son, Liam, vanished during a vacation overseas. The search had gone international. Detectives, private investigators, and media outlets all followed the story. But over time, leads went cold. Rumors died down. The case became just another unsolved mystery in the shadows of wealth and power. What no one knew was that Liam, now Noah, had somehow ended up halfway across the country, with no memory of who he truly was. A boy with fragments of a past buried deep in his mind, trying to make sense of the present. And as Emma's quiet world became more tangled with Noah's, unseen eyes began to take notice. Someone was watching. Emma had always lived a quiet life. Early mornings at the diner, late nights wiping down tables, the occasional laugh with regulars. But lately, things felt different. Ever since Noah entered her life, there was a strange weight in the air, like something big was on the horizon. The boy had become part of her routine, and in a way, part of her heart. But she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was out there, searching. One evening, just after closing, a sleek black car pulled up across the street from the diner. Emma noticed it right away. It didn't belong. The windows were tinted, and it didn't move for hours. At first, she thought maybe someone had broken down. But then the car returned the next night, and the next. No one ever got out. Meanwhile, Noah had been acting strangely. He started asking questions he never asked before. About the city, about news stories, about missing children. One night, he pulled out an old newspaper clipping he'd found in the trash. It was dated 5 years ago, showing a picture of a family, wealthy, polished, standing in front of a mansion. The headline read, "Search continues for missing Ray's hair." Underneath the photo, the boy in the picture looked eerily like a younger version of Noah. Emma's heart dropped. She tried not to jump to conclusions, but the resemblance was too strong. And Noah had questions she couldn't answer. She wanted to protect him, but how could she protect someone from a past neither of them understood? At the same time, across the country, a private investigator named Harper was tracking a long-dead lead. Hired by the Reyes family to look into anonymous tips, she received a strange email. No sender, just coordinates and a note. "He's alive. Small-town diner. Ask for the waitress." Harper didn't want to give false hope, but something about the message felt different. She booked the next flight out. Back in the small town, Emma was torn. Should she go to the authorities? Would they believe her? Would they take Noah away? He'd started to trust her. That trust was fragile, and she wasn't sure she had the right to break it. Noah, on the other hand, had begun having dreams. Flashes of a marble staircase, a woman crying, a large dog, bits and pieces that didn't make sense, yet felt too real to ignore. And as these pieces began fitting together in ways no one expected, the car across the street stayed parked. The engine off, the driver unseen. But the eyes behind the glass, they never stopped watching. Days passed, and the tension around Emma and Noah grew thicker, like a storm about to break. Noah's questions became more urgent. One afternoon, while Emma was wiping down tables, he suddenly blurted out, "Why do I feel like I don't belong here? Like I'm supposed to be somewhere else?" His voice trembled, eyes searching hers for answers she didn't have. Emma wanted to hold him close, to tell him everything would be okay. But the truth was, she wasn't sure. That same day, Harper arrived in town. The private investigator wasted no time. She walked into the diner with a calm but focused presence, asking questions about a lost boy and a waitress who'd been helping him. Emma's heart raced. Could she trust this stranger? But the urgency in Harper's voice convinced her. This wasn't just coincidence. Harper showed Emma pictures from her investigation, photos of a boy missing for years who looked exactly like Noah. Meanwhile, Noah's dreams grew stronger. He told Emma about a hidden room behind a bookshelf, about a silver locket with a family crest, about voices calling his name. The story sounded like fairy tales, but Emma could see the fear and hope tangled inside him. One evening, as the sun set and cast long shadows over the diner, the black car finally pulled up right in front. The driver stepped out, a man in a sharp suit with an unreadable expression. He didn't approach the diner, but paced near the entrance, glancing inside frequently. Emma's stomach tightened. Was he waiting for Noah? Was it someone connected to the Reyes family? Or someone else entirely? Emma felt the walls closing in. The quiet life she'd known was slipping away, replaced by secrets, danger, and questions she couldn't answer. She wondered if her kindness had put Noah in the spotlight, if protecting him was now more dangerous than ever. That night, Emma sat with Noah in the little storage room where he slept. She reached out, holding his hands gently. "We're going to figure this out," she promised, though her own voice shook. He nodded but didn't speak. The silence between them was heavy, filled with hope, fear, and uncertainty. Suddenly, the phone rang downstairs. Emma picked it up, only to hear a cold, unfamiliar voice say, "Stop looking for him, or you'll regret it." The line went dead. Emma's heart pounded. Someone wanted Noah hidden. But who and why? At that moment, the quiet town outside the diner seemed darker, more dangerous. The mystery of Noah's identity, the watchful eyes, the threats, all were closing in. Emma realized their time was running out. Something was coming, something big. And when it did, nothing would ever be the same. The threatening phone call left Emma shaken, but it also sparked something inside her, a fierce determination she hadn't known she had. She wasn't about to let anyone intimidate her or take Noah away. But as she hung up, a new question gnawed at her. Who could the caller be? Was it someone from the Reyes family, desperate to keep the boy hidden? Or someone darker, with more dangerous motives? That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the day's events, the mysterious man in the black suit, Harper's urgent visit, Noah's cryptic dreams. Then her phone buzzed again. A text this time. No sender, just a single line. "He's not who you think." Emma stared at the screen in disbelief. What could that mean? Was Noah really the missing son of a billionaire? Or was there more to his story? Doubt crept in, threatening to unravel everything she believed. But deep down, Emma knew one thing for sure. The truth was far more complicated and far more dangerous than she ever imagined. Meanwhile, Noah was restless. The dreams had started invading his waking hours. He found himself drawn to a small, forgotten library at the edge of town. Inside, he discovered an old photograph tucked inside a dusty book, an image of a little boy who looked just like him, standing beside a man who could only be his father. But there was something off. The man's face was partially scratched out, as if someone wanted to erase him from the past. As Noah showed the photo to Emma, their world grew even more uncertain. They weren't just dealing with a missing boy anymore. They were caught in a web of secrets, lies, and hidden enemies who would stop at nothing to keep the past buried. Harper, too, was uncovering unexpected clues. While digging through old records, she stumbled upon a shocking fact. Another child, born around the same time as Liam, had disappeared from the Reyes family's private records. Could Noah be an imposter? Or worse, was there a secret sibling? Someone who had been swapped, hidden, or erased to protect a family scandal. The diner's quiet streets no longer felt safe. The black car appeared more frequently, and the man in the suit grew bolder, sometimes watching from a distance, sometimes vanishing before anyone could approach. Emma knew they were running out of time. One evening, as rain hammered the windows, Harper pulled Emma aside with a grave look. "There's someone else looking for Noah," she whispered. "Not the police, not the family. Someone from his past who wants to make sure he never finds out the truth." Emma's breath caught. The stakes were higher than ever. Protecting Noah wasn't just about giving a homeless boy a chance at education anymore. It was about saving a life caught in a dangerous game of identity, power, and betrayal. And the deeper they dug, the more they realized no one was safe. Not Emma, not Noah, not even those watching from the shadows. The tension finally reached its breaking point one stormy night when the man in the black suit stepped inside the diner, his eyes locking onto Noah with a mix of urgency and fear. Emma's heart pounded as Harper quietly dialed for backup. The air was thick with unspoken danger as the man, introducing himself as Marcus, revealed a truth no one expected. "Noah," Marcus said quietly, "you're not just the lost son of the Reyes family. You're also the key to a secret that they've been hiding for years." Emma and Harper exchanged confused glances, but Noah's eyes were fixed on Marcus, desperate for answers. Marcus explained that years ago, the Reyes family had been torn apart by betrayal. Liam's disappearance wasn't just a kidnapping. It was part of a plan to protect a darker secret, one involving illegal dealings and a hidden sibling. Noah wasn't just a lost boy or an imposter. He was the product of a secret adoption arranged to keep him safe from powerful enemies inside the family. The photo with the scratched-out face was proof of a conspiracy meant to erase Noah's real identity. His memory loss had been no accident. Someone had tried to wipe him away completely, but his return threatened to expose the family's hidden sins. Emma felt her world tilt, but she stood firm. She wasn't about to let Noah be taken away again, especially now that the truth was out. Suddenly, the diner's lights flickered and went out. In the dark, footsteps approached fast. Emma grabbed Noah's hand and whispered, "We have to get out of here." Harper led them through the back door just as more figures appeared, enforcers sent to silence Noah for good. A tense chase unfolded through rain-soaked streets. But thanks to Harper's planning and Emma's quick thinking, they made it to a safe house. There, Noah finally faced the choice he'd been running from: to reclaim his identity and confront the Reyes family or vanish again, losing himself forever. Noah's eyes filled with tears, but he chose to fight. He wanted to know who he was, and to make sure no other child suffered like he did. Days later, with the truth exposed, the Reyes family was forced into the spotlight. Investigations began, and hidden enemies were revealed. Noah's story inspired the town, turning a homeless boy into a symbol of hope and courage. Just when it seemed the nightmare was over, Emma found an envelope slipped under her door. Inside was a single photo of Noah, smiling, next to a woman neither of them had ever met. On the back, a note read, "The story isn't finished." Emma's breath caught. The past wasn't done with them yet. And neither was the mystery. Emma stared at the photo in her hands long after the rain stopped outside. Noah's bright smile looked so different from the scared boy who first came into the diner. But the woman next to him was a mystery, a stranger with kind eyes, someone from Noah's past that even Harper hadn't uncovered yet. It was a reminder that their journey wasn't over, that some secrets still lingered in the shadows. Still, for the first time in a long while, there was peace. Noah was no longer just a homeless boy hidden from the world. He was a boy who had faced the darkness of lost identity, betrayal, and danger, and found strength in kindness and courage. Emma's simple act of giving him a meal and tutoring him had changed both their lives forever. The Reyes family, now under intense public scrutiny, couldn't ignore Noah any longer. Investigations revealed layers of lies and protection schemes within the family, but Noah's truth brought hope for healing. For Noah, reclaiming his identity was more than about money or fame. It was about finding where he belonged and building a future on his own terms. Emma found new purpose, too. The little diner became a safe haven, a place where stories like Noah's could begin with hope instead of fear. She started a program to help kids in the community with tutoring and support, because she knew firsthand how much one caring person could make a difference. Harper stayed close, helping Noah navigate the complex world he was stepping into. Together, they worked to uncover the woman in the photo, piecing together more of Noah's past. Proof that family wasn't just about blood, but about the people who choose to stand by you. Noah, now back in school with the help of scholarships arranged quietly through newfound allies, was determined to make his own mark. He wasn't just the billionaire's lost son. He was a boy who had survived, who had hope, and who had a future full of possibilities. Emma often thought about the phone call and the man in the black suit, the threats, and the shadows that once loomed so large. But she believed that kindness and truth had the power to shine through even the darkest times. As the sun set over the small town, Emma looked out at the diner's worn but welcoming sign. She smiled, knowing that sometimes the biggest stories start with the simplest acts, like sharing a meal, offering a hand, and believing in someone when no one else does. And though some mysteries still waited to be solved, one thing was clear. Their story was one of hope, courage, and the unbreakable bonds that make us human.